What's going on, everyone? My name is Jon Willis. I am the host of FreeSpace Now, and I want to welcome you for another episode. Hope you all had a great weekend. A lot of crazy and Twilight Zone type things going on in the world right now. And frankly, I don't know what to think about it. It's like we're living in Bizarro World. If you don't know what Bizarro World is, then you've never read a Superman comic before. Um, Depending on where you are living in the United States right now, I guarantee you are feeling pain at the pump right now. I live in Arizona, just outside of Phoenix, and I paid $4.89 a gallon today, and I was actually capped out at $125, and my tank wasn't even full yet. I still had another 10 gallons to go, and I was capped out at $125, and so I had to go and do it again, and eventually filled up. I think at the end of the day, I was right around $160 to fill up my tank. Rewind to a year and a half ago, and it was about half of that. So, um, yeah, everyone is pretty upset right now about the price at the pump. And you know what's really sad and pathetic is that this is 100% preventable. We don't have to be paying this much for gas. But unfortunately, the powers that be made the decision to take away our independence on foreign oil and made us completely dependent on foreign oil. And now, as of yesterday, it sounds like the Biden administration is in talks with Maduro down in Venezuela to buy Venezuelan oil. If you don't remember, we actually have an embargo on Venezuelan oil, and we haven't bought oil from them in years, back to the days of Hugo Chavez. And so now we're talking to them again. My question is, why? Why the heck are we buying oil from Venezuela? It makes absolutely no sense. Why were we buying oil from Russia again? Why did we go out there and allow them to have their pipeline when we shut down our Keystone pipeline here and stopped doing all the drilling in the sensitive areas for the environmentalists? It just makes no sense that we are so willing to shoot ourselves in the foot, um, and not even think about the consequences that come from that. Um, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. And when I see this, it brings back a lot of repressed memories that I have from 2008. If you don't remember 2008, if you were too young, if you were still growing up at that time, or if you were in college at that time and the only thing that you remembered is what you were drinking, um, 2008 was very, very bad. And if you remember the summer of 2008, the price of oil was $150 a barrel. And where we are right now is $130 a barrel. So we are very, very close to where we were back in 2008. And in 2008, it was a domino effect. So you had a lot of the subprime mortgage crisis going on in the real estate industry. Then you had oil. You had the Democrats took over political power. They took over the House and the Senate in 2006. I think it was both chambers of Congress they took over in 2006. I know they were in the majority in the House, but don't quote me on the Senate. I actually know they were, because Harry Reid. Yep. So they did take over both. And so when they took over in 2006 as a referendum on President Bush, blaming the end of the world on him, they took over, and then that's when everything started going straight downhill. In 2009, you had the Dodd-Frank bill that was passed as Congress's way to prevent another mortgage crisis from happening. But what they actually did is they actually prevented a a free market capitalist type of system to correct itself. By the government stepping in and creating a new bureaucracy, it really stalled the real estate recovery up until about 2014. Why? Because it was passed in 2009, but it didn't go into full force and effect until 2014. So you had a presidential election in 2012, and then you also had a few other elections in there, one in 2010, and then you had the 2012, and then in 2014, you had another midterm election. And what they basically did, the way they wrote this is, um, they didn't want that law to really hurt them during the first 4 years of Obama, and then during the midterms. But when it finally did kick in, the real estate markets at that time had to adjust and try to figure out exactly what type of effect it would need. But in reality, our market should have been coming back in 2009, 2010 after the '08 crash. The '08 crash was the bottom. In fact, most people think that the crash actually happened in the fall of 2008. It actually started in the first quarter of 2008 on the real estate side. But as the market started to climb back up, that's when Congress got involved. That's when they passed the Dodd-Frank bill, and then you saw a stalled recovery for 5 years. And from work coming from that industry, I worked in the commercial real estate industry. It was very, very frustrating knowing that all these buildings, all this land, these homes were not appreciating in value as they normally would based on a typical cycle, mainly because the government prevented it. And so now we're starting to see the effects of government meddling in the economy. Where I wanted to read some stats for you just so you can see just how bad it is. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen. Charlie Bilello, I think that's how he pronounces his name. He tweeted and said commodity price changes over the last year. Heating oil has gone up 90%. Crude, WTI crude has gone up 80%. Brent crude has gone up 79%. Coffee 73, gas 70, aluminum 70, natural gas 69, wheat 59, corn has gone up 35%, cotton 34%, soybeans 34%. Soybeans have gone up 18%, sugar 15%, copper 13%, gold has gone up 12%. The CPI, Consumer Price Index, has gone up 7.5%. That's in a year and a half, folks. It's up 7.5%. Do you know how, or that it's at 7.5%, I should say. It's not gone up. It's at 7.5%. That is detrimental. And then silver has actually gone down. So when you look at silver is a commodity, and typically when the market's about ready to crash, you'll start to see commodity values go up. So silver is the one differentiating factor. Has gone down 4%. But here was an interesting story that came out today. Gold actually crossed $2,000 an ounce today. That's the highest. It's actually almost the highest that it's ever been. So $2,000 an ounce. When you see gold climbing that high, that means that things on the economy are not looking good, because investors will then pull away from the stock market, and then they'll start going to commodities that actually have actual tangible value, gold, silver, platinum, etc., etc. So we're starting to see those things happen. What is the most frustrating to me, more than anything, is you have a very easy, clear-cut path to prevent a lot of this from happening. And the Democrat Party is taking the complete opposite path. And what's even more frustrating is that the Republican Party is not keeping them in check. They're letting them do it. And they just think, oh, we're going to win. We're going to win back the House and the Senate in the midterm elections. Are you? Because you're not really putting up a fight. I mean, there's your typical ones that are putting up a fight, like your Ted Cruz's and your Rand Pauls, and Mike Lee's and such. But as a party, that Mr. Turtlehead, Mitch McConnell, he's not doing anything. He's just there, like, I'm just gonna maintain my power as a Senate Majority Leader over here. And then when he picks up his wife, takes her on a date. What's going on, baby? I mean, that's Mitch McConnell for you. Big ball of personality there. But the Republicans are doing nothing to keep the Democrat Party in check. It's every decision they're making is a bonehead decision. Absolutely bonehead position or decision that they're doing. It's ridiculous. So what's going to happen? I mean, there's a lot going on with Russia and Ukraine right now. There's a lot of questions going on is this going to be World War III? It's almost as if they're pushing for it. I haven't really taken an official position on what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, because I don't think either side is innocent. Ukraine has been known for money laundering for years, with Ukraine and Latvia and those countries up in the Baltic states. Those have been notorious money laundering countries. Um, but Russia's not, they're not innocent either. Putin, I don't think is a good man at all. But this is just a very odd war. It kind of came out of nowhere, and our response to it has been very interesting. The fact that they're trying to keep NATO away from this. They're not closing the airspace. Um, I don't know. Just something doesn't feel right about it. My heart does go out to all the victims of this war. Those who are being treated as collateral damage, the innocents. But I really think that there's something going on here, and I'm not talking about QAnon bullcrap. I'm really just trying to figure out why this is happening. If you look at um, how Putin is doing this attack, I mean, typically when you go to war, you take out the water supply, you take out the power supply, you take out the internet. You do everything you can to disrupt their communications, and that hasn't happened here. Um, and I think Putin was surprised how big of a fight the Ukrainians would put up. But I don't know. It's really weird. And I also have a really, really bad feeling when a man who hardly ever tweets puts out a statement in full support of Ukraine, and everything that this man does is 100% by design. I'm talking about George Soros. He put out a tweet a couple weeks ago in full support of Ukraine, and this is a man that literally gets his jollies on destroying government and country economies. And his whole goal has been to destroy the United States for years. And yet here he is. He's openly supporting Ukraine. I mean, which is fine. I mean, it may be this one instance where he may actually be on the right side of things, but this is a man that is very calculated and cunning. In fact, Glenn Beck calls him spooky dude. Um, so I don't know, just a lot of weird stuff going on here. That's why I've just kind of stayed back. I'm just kind of see how this is going to play out. I hope it's not. I hope it's not World War III. Um, but you know, from a biblical sense, we know the last days will have wars and rumors of wars. We know that that's going to happen, and we're seeing it right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, kind of getting back on that oil topic. Biden's going to. He's planning a trip to Saudi Arabia. I can't think of a worse person to negotiate with anybody than Joe Biden right now. I mean, come on, folks. Who are we fooling? The guy's not all there. I mean, can we stop with the clown show already? I mean, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican. I love you equally, but you got to admit when you hear this guy speak, he's not all there. I mean, this was a guy, if you watched him debate Paul Ryan back in 2012, Joe Biden wiped the floor with him. This guy has the most flippin' silver tongue on the planet. And now he can't even put a full sentence together. He has dementia. There is no doubt about it. It's how you can see how he walks, how the look, the lost gaze in his eyes, how he can't keep a sentence together, can't put two words together, how he's mispronouncing country names, calling Ukraine Iran and supporting the Iranian people in the State of the Union address. I mean, can we just enough with this? Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we as an American people putting up with this? I mean, it's a clown show. I mean, the fact that we let Jen Psaki up there every single day lie and lie and lie, but the Republicans are just as guilty. They're not doing anything about it. I'm just so sick of politics, folks. I mean, I had a dream the other night, and this is a true story. And I had a dream that I was testifying in front of Congress. Yeah, I know, it's a weird dream. I can think of many other dreams I'd rather have, like me flying around like Superman, saving the day. That'd be really cool. Or having a lightsaber. That'd be really awesome. But no, I was testifying in front of Congress. And I couldn't think of a worse nightmare than to have people like Representative Jayapal or AOC or heck, even Lindsey Graham, those type in my dreams. But I remember I was being grilled and I was just being sarcastic with him. Like, 'cause if you ever watch a hearing, especially if it's someone that's being grilled that the Democrats particularly don't like, they usually grandstand for their 5-minute time allotment. And if the person says anything, the Democrats will usually say, "Can I take my time back, please? I want you to be respectful of my time." So, knowing me, if I was ever in that situation, I would have a little fun with that, and I would be very snarky and probably booed out of the room or probably brought up on charges for sarcasm. So, but yeah, I literally had a dream about that. And believe me, there's a lot I would have to say to Congress right now because this clown show is just ridiculous. So, I don't know. We've got a crazy week ahead of us. We do have some cool interviews that are coming up this week. This Friday, I'll be interviewing Wayne Dupree from the Wayne Dupree Show. You can find him on FreeSpace right now. Wayne is a great man. We're also going to do another episode with co-founder of FreeSpace, Elise Parati. So, stay tuned for that. And we got some other great guests that are coming up in the next coming weeks. We also have some big announcements coming out for our company with FreeSpace Socials. So stay tuned for that. But I hope you enjoyed today. Hopefully, I didn't ruffle your feathers too much with the political talk. I'm sorry. I usually don't like talking about politics on this show, but I just, really hate how much I'm paying for gas right now. I hate how expensive everything is getting. The bare shelves at the grocery stores, the inflation on everything, and the stupid decisions that are being done in Washington that are affecting every single one of us, including my family. And it drives me nuts, and I wish it would stop. So, anyways, folks, I hope you have a great, great day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.